Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Guys, I hope this video is going to find you when you're doing fine and in good health. I'm also doing fine at this peripheral end. So let me know where you're watching this video from, which country, which continent, and entirely how you're faring on well. Guys, Deemwango's land acquisition in the village got detractors and naysayers, especially JT, so agitated. They couldn't believe what really happened. Where? Ay. This is after D hinted to acquiring land in the coastal region, especially in the Malindi. But there is something interesting that really took place that Deemwango stopped purchasing land in Malindi. It's a story that is coming that I will put everything into perspective. Simply, I will want to unravel more about it, interestingly. So guys, in our today's gist and deliberations, we want to focus on whether these and the IAM-MARWA aren't allowed to purchase or acquire property in Nyaboanze or anywhere. 2, if the land acquisition was procedurally done. 3, if Murimi is not allowed to either acquire or dispose of his property. Number 4, if Murimi was a target in this land saga. Because these are the questions that is bringing a lot of paradox into this YouTube straight and getting story left, right, center. Because the detractors are good in twisting what is not. Because JT twisted the story and JT is calling it a scam. And in a broad daylight, once we've done with all these 4 questions, which is so fundamental in this discourse, then we'll also ask a question whether it was a scam or not a scam on its face value. So guys, if you're coming across this YouTube chit chat and this YouTube video and channel for the first time, kindly click on the notification bell so that you never put a video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube chit chat. My name is Inazak and this is my YouTube channel. So let's dive in lest we forget. Guys, let's solve this 4 puzzle that is making detractors Moso JT to pee on himself and defecate on his audience, feeding them verbiage in the name of thinking big. And this is JT because JT likes to think big. At any moment you see JT or a detractor or a naysayer or a negative or a lazy gang dissent or diverge attention or from the question itself in the name of thinking big, evokingly, that is the point where they want to feature in their lives. That's the point where there is turn and twist from the reality. Like that. So the reality check is JT calling this issue a scam was perfect. Perhaps let's listen to JT.
How come that this young man doesn't see a problem with Marwa humiliating his father in his eyes like that, while he's sitting there and eating bones and drinking God soup? Now I see that he was a target. Now makes a target. Was that really the bone soup? What was the inside that thing? Now, for example, let me play this part here, where this man that is on today's topic, Murimi, well, he was eating these bones, while his father, on the other hand, was being chased away. Then we come back now to today's video, how Deemwango was explaining to the world that this young man has no brains at all. We managed to scam him, allegedly. We managed to convince him to give us the land. And the money that we gave out, we gave Itiriba to go and buy him a bike. Wow. Anyway, let's start from here. You can see Murimi. The young man that is chewing the biggest bone over there, that is Murimi. You can see how he's really struggling to chew that bone, where his father was being.
Guys, that is the video, and you've watched the JT assertions. JT is depending on this kind of a simplistic kind of thinking, yet is calling it big. Is trying to tell us that because Ernesto's, Mogesi's, and Murimi's dad was confronted by IAM-MARWA during the party, and Murimi wasn't, that one simply means that Murimi was a target. And this is the question that this whole scenario begs. Was Murimi a target for manipulation in the first place? Was Murimi a bull that was being prepared to be slaughtered? This is the question that JT is bringing forth. And this is what you want to dissect in here. So because this is the only argument JT Podcast and Detractors are relying on, so before talking to this issue, whether Murimi was a target or not, so before talking or asking ourselves to this issue whether Murimi was a target or not, or Murimi was a bull being fattened for slaughter, let's ask ourselves a question. What really took Murimi to the party? So there is 4 scenarios that is possible that Murimi found himself at a place at the party. But the issue of land, it's also at the cost center, but it doesn't come from IAM-MARWA, it comes from Murimi. And I will explain. 1, he was invited by the Gitiriba, not IAM-MARWA, because the party that was prepared was Gitiriba's, the first party. Therefore, the second party, the first party acclimatizes the second party where people were given clothes. That is done. Number 2, the villagers were invited for clothes. So Murimi also was invited to come. You know, on that note, the people who have been on the good books at IAM-MARWA were welcomed. The people who are not violent, the people who don't like drama. I've never seen Murimi in any kind of picture episode abusing IAM-MARWA, even though the members of his families are doing so. But Mogesi's father at one point was even approached by IAM-MARWA and was told to at least gag the children, something that he failed. Most of the time, he has also peddled lies about the IAM-MARWA's family. Countless times that people are not privy to. So these are the things that are so hidden that sometimes we know. Number 3, Murimi had a burning issue. And this kind of issues that even the family, even the brothers and Nestor and Mogesi were now complaining that they know about his welfare, they couldn't solve. Even the parents. You know, Murimi is a drunkard, the father is a drunkard themselves. So none of these family members could have solved, even in the village, except the people whom they've been framing and calling an alien, an outsider, was the only one person who could come in. 1, it's because of IAM-MARWA father, the Conrad, who used to help them with the school fee to go back to school. This is the man whom they will run to whenever they fall short of finances, either to dispose the piece of land so that they can get to school. That is well captured. Now at this moment, Murimi has just followed the footsteps of the dad, where they usually normally go get help from, and that is the IAM-MARWAs. So Murimi, apart from being invited, he also had issues pertinent to his family and his life and livelihood going forward that he wanted to share with the IAM-MARWA's family. And this is the issue of possessing a land that he wanted to dispose. So who could have fixed this issue? The only person who could have fixed this issue was the IAM-MARWA family. Are you there? So this is the moment when Murimi heard that Deemwango was disposing of a land and Murimi decided to go to the party to target Deemwango. So in this case, Murimi is not a target. Murimi is the one targeting the Deemwangos and the IAM-MARWA, because that's the place for a long time they've been finding help. So Murimi in this case was not the target, but he was the one targeting IAM-MARWA and the Deemwango to chase the land from him. Murimi heard that Deemwango was looking for a land, mainly in Malindi, but he went and read on to IAM-MARWA. When IAM-MARWA also decided to talk to Deemwango that there's a land available in the village, because at that time, Deemwango wanted to look for a land in the village, but he couldn't find. That's the reason why she resorted to look it out, because there is a little bit. But when the land itself availed itself in the village, he bought it. He bought it. She bought it. You know? She bought the land in the village. So these are the things that are bringing jitters back to the village. But because the villagers only look for one families of the IAM-MARWAs to sort their financial problems, no one is causing them. That one also brings us to another question that we also need to answer. Does Murimi allowed to acquire and sell off his own property? In affirmative, yes. There is this principle that is embedded in our constitution: a willing seller and a willing buyer. So this principle, so long as no one is coerced, and you're a willing seller and a willing buyer, therefore you can simply sell off your land, and nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that going forward. So that question is done with big time. Another question: is Marwa and D allowed to purchase 15% anything from the village? Yes, they are allowed. There is a willing seller, and they are also willing to buy any kind of property that they deem fit for their own consumption or use. Procedural, was it followed by Marwa and D when acquiring the land? Perhaps this video will explain it all.
Sasa unaona chini huyo loti kivuko square venye rectangle venye walisema ikifika hapa inaanza kubana, unaona huko kuna nafasi haikwangi hapa inabana kwa hivyo dunia nzima hazikwangi.
Guys, this is the tape measure. Akumo is also doing the measurements.
Yeah, this one will remind us where the exact point.
Yeah, and also they already put demarcation here of Makonge.
Makonge pia huko juu tunaweka.
Vipi?
Ona lazima uonyeshe lile likongera kura katikati.
Pale katikati. Yeah.
Uonyeshe uweke alama. Uone imuta buki. Kwenda juu hivi ni ngapi?
194. Okay guys, so right now as you all see, that's the chief writing. So this is the agreement letter, so he has to fill it up. The signatories have to be here, the witnesses have to be here. I mean, this is how it's done, you know. So with this now, you take it to the land boards and you grab your title deed, basically, or rather you have it, for a better word. So also for the signatures nowadays, actually you put your fingerprint as the evidence. It's no more like the normal signing, because you know with the fingerprint it can be retrieved anytime, you know. So that's what we are doing. I'm so grateful for this day. New landowner in town. Honestly, I thank God, because guys, land adds value each and every day when you wake up. The value appreciates every single day. So yeah, my future kids will have somewhere to come and enjoy and enjoy the beautiful countryside lifestyle, you know. So congratulate me in the comment section down below. My family is here as witnesses, so let's do this.
So the video alone is self-evident. Chiefs, surveyors, we have the seller, the buyer, the witnesses were all present. So no coercion at all. And that is what we call the willing seller and the willing buyer. So the seller disposed of the land willingly. Therefore, the principle of a willing seller and a willing buyer met a threshold. Therefore, no one should complain unless you are just a detractor making a lot of noise, ranting verbiages in this YouTube street. So the only advice to the detractor is like, kindly please take a chill pill. Take a chill pill. You know, I've heard several times yesterday when I talk of a willing seller, willing buyer, somebody challenged me, what does a willing seller, willing buyer means? That Murimi was coerced. You saw the picture, nobody coerced Murimi. Murimi even willingly transact. You know? So what we mean by the willing seller, a willing buyer principle, it is a principle that normally is being used when you want to evaluate the property ready for disposal of, to consider the market value itself competitively. But those are the challenges that comes with it. But at the end, it's the agreement that you people sit down and come with it that this is, I'm being motivated by this market price. And I want this. Sometimes you might check the market value and you see this market value, the market is already been inflated or been distorted. Therefore, what will come in between you, this is the agreement that will ensue between the seller and the buyer. That one will form the cost price. For quite more elaboration, we have what we call the market value. So this principle is the foundation of determining the market value, which is a key concept in property valuation. That one for the case when you are dealing with a government who wants to acquire land from you. So this principle would be used. And also in your private capacity of private lands, this principle also can use. It might be against or for you, because sometimes you find when the market is diluted, but you as a person, you want a higher price. So the common ground between you must be negotiated. One, there is what we call the voluntary transaction. The voluntary transaction herein, the principle emphasizes that the transaction is completely voluntary, meaning neither the party is forced to participate nor coerced. You saw Murimi in Amara's place. He went to look for Amara and D after getting the wind that D was looking land in the coast. Everything was made. D shelved that kind of ambition and came back home to buy land because the land was voluntarily available, because Murimi is the one who was looking for the Amara to dispose of the land, not the vice versa. You know? Then again, we must have what we call the rational actors, the actors who are not under duress. So both the buyer and the sellers must always be rational, must also be informed, and must also be deemed seen acting in their own best interest going forward. And that is a fact. And that's what happened, because it was at best of Murimi's interest who went to look for IAM-MARWAs for this land. Deemwango also in her own interest looking for the land to buy, which means the land was there in the market. And another one, and the last one, is about no duress completely. So the principle assumed that there is no coercion or pressure on either party to agree to a specific price, which means after agreeing to a specific price, they decided to sell the land amicably. So there was no action itself. So the rationale or the parameters of the principle of willing buyer, willing seller was met. So let me hear your thought at the comment section. Until next time, this is Senior Zach.